at least something that is maybe not as good as Rock Band, not as good as Guitar Hero, but it's current, it's active.
Yeah, and I guess in that regard, it will succeed. It's buggy, it's not perfect. I don't know, the mechanics are bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I suppose it's something a player could get used to,
right?
If you want to spend the time to do that.
Well, I mean, at least like I think it would be fun to do that, whether it's streaming us playing and like looking like idiots, or maybe having an episode in the future, a top 5 favorite rhythm game songs. You know, we cover Rock Band, we cover Guitar Hero, we cover Dance Dance Revolution.
Yeah, I'm in.
Shit.
I know, right? Just the whole top 5 is just like Captain Jack, Captain Jack.
Yeah, go Jack, Captain Jack, Captain Jack. And then the number one's a remix.
Right. You'd be surprised to know that's once again Captain Jack. No, I'm actually writing that in. See, the listeners are getting, not only are they getting our random background talk that means nothing, but they're also getting to see how the sausage gets made, because they'll be here for
fourth wall.
Shit. Oh, no. Rewind that. Take that out. Cut that. Put the music on instead. Phew. I think we saved it.
That was close. That was really close. Yeah.
I almost gave away the whole ghost. Never want to give away the whole ghost. Maybe just half, quarter of the ghost. What am I even saying? It's Zach. It's Jay. It's Dan. It's the Fairly KickAss crew. And we are here. We are gathered here today to mourn the loss of everything. It seems dark, and it's not meant to be dark. I don't know how y'all took it, but we are doing a top 5 episode where we basically rank something in 5 of them, is a way to put it, I suppose.
Yeah. It's what we did.
It's true. This one was the top 5 songs for the end of the world. Mm-hmm. And I personally went in a couple directions for this list. I'm curious to hear how y'all kind of took it. But what we'll do, just again for the newer folks, what we do is we kind of go in the round. We discuss our top 5s of whatever the list is. We'll hit you with some honorable mentions, and at the very tops of our list with our number 1s. And then you will see all of those tracks on a playlist that will be posted to fairlykickass.com, our website, as well as our Fairly Kickass Spotify page. More information on both of those, certainly more plugs of all the social media and all that coming later in the episode. But before then, overall, what did you guys think of the assignment?
I had fun. I actually think I pulled a Zach on this one, where I put way too much effort into putting this together, and it's not going to play for the listeners. That was not meant to be a dig at you, but it kind of turned into one.
I was 50-50.
See, I tried to tell a story, but like I also admittedly know that I completely diverted from the plot, or I might have told the end of the story first and then went back to the middle part and then went back to the end again and never bothered to actually start the beginning.
I could not follow what you just said, so it seems like your storytelling ability is a little muddled.
I mean, there's a reason I never made it as a screenwriter.
What was the clip from It's Always Sunny with Homeboy with the yarn and the tax?
Oh, yeah. But besides the fact I'm a family member in the business,
right?
Nor did I ever really try.
You've got the beard for it, though.
See, I was that close.
First, you get the beard, then you get the khakis.
Then you get the khakis.
Well, Dan, how about we get your number 5 on this list?
All right. Well, so I'll start with more of an explanation there, because so I'm trying to think of what I would do in this situation, right? The world is literally going to end, and that would probably be, because of me, to make it as sarcastic an ending as I possibly could. And if I vaporize while laughing at a little black humor at the end, well, that's probably my best outcome, if I'm honest. So where to start? well, the perfect anthem for getting together and getting cooked by multiple nuclear explosions, I would say. My number 5 song is We Will All Go Together When We Go from the indefatigable... Fuck! I should know better than to write like huge words into my script here.
Just sing the song from Holy Grail and you'll get the word right.
No.
He's indefatigable.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Let me try that again. All right. So I guess let me try that line again. Which is going to make no sense if that gets cut.
Nope.
Kind of hope it does now.
Do it.
My number 5 song is We Will All Go Together When We Go from indefatigable satirist and mathematician Tom Lehrer.
Beautiful.
No notes. Perfect.
This should be a lot. This is just a jaunty little upbeat number about how no one will escape World War III, and we can all take comfort in the fact that it's gonna get us all. No reason to fret over the fate of survivors or, what the next step is going to be, because there's not going to be one. To quote a stanza, with complete participation in that grand incineration, nearly 3 billion hunks of well-done steak. And the only, we're okay, now it's 8, but it doesn't flow as well. I mean, really, why sugarcoat it at this point? Like, just have a laugh, get comfortable. Tip 1 if you want. The fireball will be here soon.
Cheers.
It seems like the perfect end of the world song, like one of the perfect. Like I think there are probably going to be 3 or 4 distinct types of these as we go along. This one falls into the category of, let's just fuck around until it happens. Like we can't get out of it. The nihilist end of the world, I suppose.
What's the line? If you run, you're just going to die tired.
Yeah, it's like nihilism casserole. That's perfect. What a great pick to start us off. Hell yeah.
I'm in. Yeah, that's great.
Jay,
Oh, sure. I was just going to ask, which direction are we going now?
I think we'll swing it over to you.
Counterclockwise, sir. Counterclockwise.
Yeah. That it could be different on every one of our screens. But okay, I'll jump in. I went a direction with this. So I'm going to begin our story with an individual. He sees things that no one else seems to notice. He might be a little touched. He can see the hurricanes, the lightning, the overflowing rivers, the earthquakes. Did I say that already? No. But his attempts to notify people just seem to fail. It's probably because he's announcing the end of days using just the jauntiest of Southern pop rock tunes. This is Bad Moon Rising, my Creedence Clearwater Revival. It's a portent of all of the dark things in just the happiest voice and the happiest guitar. Can't tell if he's actually trying to pull people back away from the end of the world or if he's going into it full force. He won't tell us either.
I think the speculation is great in that song. Like maybe he is bummed. Maybe he's just, walking head first. Maybe it's both.
Yeah.
So I love the interpretation, just running a couple lines over in my head. And like you said, there's no clear way. Like which direction is your phrasing going? No idea. Are you stoked or bummed? I don't know. Can't tell. Great song though.
Yeah, definitely one of those that if you don't listen to the lyrics, you would have no idea that this is what it's about, which is also very fun.
And it's one of those things like, I have performed this song in front of people and they sing along and whatever. And most of the individuals that I've talked to have no idea what the actual words are, even though they're saying them.
That's fascinating because I have done that too. Like you just, it's almost like you're making the sounds. You're not necessarily, we're diverging, but you're making the sounds. You're not necessarily like interpreting what you're saying.
Yeah, I've done that with this song.
Oh, for sure.
To say, like, Fogerty has kind of that's a criticism of his style that you kind of don't know what the hell he's saying sometimes. He's
sure,
he's not like a full on Dylan, but like 2/3 Dylan sometimes.
Yeah, like I was embarrassingly old when I learned what the song actually, like when I realized what the song was about. Because I was always singing along.
Yeah, that oh shit moment, like, and then it truly sets in.
But it is the perfect jaunty tune to start our story. Or the one I'm telling, not necessarily the, yeah.
Well, the best part is we're three storytellers, and there's a good chance we could be telling the same story, actually. We just didn't realize it.
If we did it with different songs, I'm here for it.
Well, I mean, like I said, all three stories are canon. It's just a matter of, like, how are we going to fit this together? Where's the crossover event?
So is this like Secret Wars then? Or is this like Days of Future Past? Like, what are we doing?
I mean, to be fair, probably closer to zombies.
Oh, hell yeah. Zombies forever. Or the Thor core. Give me the Thor core all day long.
Oh, sold. You know what else I'm sold on, though?
What's that?
Your number 5 song.
You know, I'm trying to be sold on figuring out how I can also be 2/3 Dylan, because that seems like a good life goal, if you ask me. Hell, 10% Dylan, and like I'm dying happy. Speaking of dying, something that is going to be happening a lot during this episode. So as we do these, whether it's a top 5 or any of the other episode types that we do, we research things because we have listened to so much music, as have you, dear listener, along the way. You forget things, you look at things, you research, you figure out what songs could possibly fit a certain motif or a story in Dan and Jay's cases. And sometimes you accidentally stumble upon something that you were not familiar with, that you hadn't heard before, and it kind of sneaks into your list. And that's what happened with my number 5 song. I don't anticipate that many folks have heard of this artist, at least in terms of their Spotify plays. I couldn't find much about them besides the fact that this was their most played song on Spotify, and it clocked in at a svelte 1,051 listens. I don't know that I've ever seen a listener count on a song in the 1,000s. But I hope it gets bigger than that, because it definitely deserves it. It was a great tune. I certainly did my part to boost that number a bit after listening to it several times. And I hope that all of you do the same with the song A Song for the End of the World by Stephen Ellis. It is a bit of a ballad, and my list is going to kind of oscillate between the downers and the uppers, kind of giving both sides of the story there. This being on the downer side of the equation, but very pretty, very well written, very well performed. There was one line that I gravitated towards, which was the very last lyric of the song, where Stephen croons, "So in the last breath of life, just remember who was holding the knife at the end of the world." And I was like, oh shit, this dude's got the ice, man. This was pretty tight. So Stephen, hopefully if you are listening, I highly doubt that you are, but maybe you are, you never know. So there you go. That's my number 5.
I don't know that song. I'm not one of those 1,000 listens, but I think I need to now. That's dark.
Yeah.
Homeboy didn't mess around. He got right down to it. I promise the whole list is not that dark, but maybe parts of it are. Anyway.
I mean, if it's not, I would feel disappointed, to be honest with you.
It's kind of hard not to be with this topic, right?
Right. Well, yeah.
Well, I know y'all have a roadmap of your own. So, Dan, keep driving us down your path with your number 4.
So, as I was writing this, I got to this point and decided, well, okay, apparently this is going to be a narrative, right? So, I guess I should flesh some things out. How did we get to the point where we're all going together when we go, huh? Well, it's more or less handily spelled out by the guitar of Mike Rutherford and the golden voice of Paul Carrack. At number 4, I have the lead single from their debuted self-titled record. It's Mike and the Mechanics with Silent Running on Dangerous Ground. The whole thesis of this track is that, and I had to look this up because it didn't sound like this, but apparently the story is a guy goes to space, travels light years away, and ends up ahead of Earth in time, or home planet. I'm assuming it's Earth. So he sends a message back to his family to warn them what's going to happen and how to survive the fight. It sounds very spacey and very 80s, which is the perfect timeline for my little tale here, really. And I imagined it hit a lot harder in the time that it came out, given like 1985 was really the last flare-up of heat in the Cold War. And then, a year later, we learned that the thing we really had to fear was poor maintenance at an aging power plant, not the R-36 missiles that were probably Okrushka fueled. And it's always a bad sign for your superpower cred when the only thing you've got left for your missile crews to load into that bad boy was last night's dinner. If you're not picking up what I'm putting down, by the mid-'80s, the Soviet Union wasn't the actual threat we've been told they were. And the hell am I talking about?
Dude, I don't know. You lost the thread.
I'm so enthralled by this, and I don't even know what it means, but I'm here for it.
Like, I think we stumbled onto a different podcast, but I was listening to it.
Do y'all smell toast? Yeah. Wake of the Cags is number 4.
That was good.
The brilliant song and even more brilliant dissertation.
Kind of want the rest of it.
Sure.
Yeah, I need to know how that specific story ends.
Which one?
I think we're still peeling back the layers of that onion in a lot of ways.
I mean, history kind of gives us. Never mind.
I decided that when I started talking about Chernobyl, I would try to be a little more tasteful, and that's about as far as I got down that thought path.
That's fair.
You did your best.
It's tasty Chernobyl.
Delicious. You know what I have a hankering for, though? Jay, that's your number 4.
I was going to say toast.
Oh, man. I don't even know how to get back to where my headspace was when I was doing this. Okay. Number 4. Okay. So while John, my number 5, while he was over on the street corner proclaiming that the end is nigh and most folks ignore him, there is an individual who hears his portents and takes him seriously. Let's call this guy Maynard. He sees parts of humanity as worthy of being washed away into the ocean. He begins praying for all of this to happen, reciting his reasons angrily and making a somewhat ill-advised list for which people should no longer live. List of which people should no longer be alive. He prays for fault lines. He prays for meteor showers, for tidal waves, and an end to people who fret for their lattes and hair pieces. My number 4 song is Enema by Tool. We get a glimpse into Maynard's particular madness as he wishes for the end of all things LA, with the heavy breathing and raspy interludes between lyrics that he can't quite contain his anger about the way things are, and that maybe those things that John over there is calling for, that he says he sees, maybe they won't be so bad.
Now, I'm certainly not going to wish being flushed away upon anyone, listener or otherwise, but I will at least absolutely agree that LA is a hopeless fucking hole. That city is vile. Apologies to anyone who lives in LA. You live in a hopeless fucking hole. Hate to be the first one to tell you.
Right. Well, haven't been there, so I can't personally judge, but I can sympathize with the idea that's there, which is honestly probably a little bit of human nature. If you want to think, like, sure, this is gonna suck that we're all going away, but you know what? At least those fuckers are going too.
I happen to not hate LA all that much. I've enjoyed the couple of times I've been there. However, the line from the song that I can absolutely get behind 100% is fuck L. Ron Hubbard and fuck all his clones.
Maynard didn't hold back on this one, did he?
No, he really didn't.
It's like, I'm just going to get it all out. Like, it is just the perfect song about, and it's interesting to consider this. It's, certainly a song discussing the end of the world, maybe hoping, wishing, praying, or at least the end of that world over there, that specific West Coast part of the world. But yeah, it's so well put together and well thought out. It's like organized chaos almost.
Yeah, it really is. It's such a good song. Like, the delivery is perfect, and I would absolutely be jamming this if Mom was flushing it all away.
Oh, so good. A couple of bangers so far, guys. I'm gonna
yeah. I really was digging for a segue to pitch it to you, but I couldn't do it.
Just
sometimes they don't come. But I think I'm going to keep the banger train going here. I think I'm going to say that differently, actually, in the next pass. There's no need. I know for a fact that's staying in. I'm not even going to record it. What I am going to do is talk about my number 4 because, like I said, I like the balance of, getting the end of the world, getting in your feelings, as it were, with some of the tracks, but also getting uplifted and having stuff that's, that's bouncy and that's danceable. And I think my number 4 song might be one of the seminal works in that specific category. Because yes, life as we all know it might be winding down in this hypothetical scenario, but that doesn't mean that we can't go down with a club banger in our ears. Bubbly production, courtesy of legendary Scottish DJ Calvin Harris. Perfect vocals provided by someone who needs zero introduction, that being Rihanna. It's, of course, We Found Love. It's a little repetitive, sure, but as we're staring down the barrel of a giant hurricanado or a mega earthquake or a crypto bro who got way too much money and built another Large Hadron Collider and had no idea how to use it, or whatever the case may be, there are far worse ways to go than, dancing your absolute ass off to this perfect song.
I want to comment.
Please, the floor is yours.
But words are not forming. I feel like I would absolutely love to have this track on a playlist if we were throwing like an apocalypse party, right?
Exactly.
You've got the disco ball, you've got the Calvin Harris and Rihanna, and the mushroom cloud outside. It sounds perfect.
It really does. It's like a hurricane party, only way worse.
But it's also one of those that like I had to sit and like listen for a moment. Like, wait, oh yeah, no, that does fit. That fits really well. Yeah, absolutely. That's about more than the facade gives it to.
Yeah.
Maybe they weren't thinking outwardly of the apocalypse as the song was written and performed, but it was there. It was in the back of their heads.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. If it wasn't, it should have been.
For sure. Yeah. Kind of dancing in my head. I'm picturing the apocalypse party now.
High five, Pockies! Where my other Pockies at?
Oh, please. If this happens in our lifetimes, guaranteed, every single listener, all of you are invited. We are doing this shit.
We're making this a thing. Right. Oh, yeah. Look, we're not the biggest building because we're not have to pay off the credit card bills.
There it is. Get it in while we can. Dan, what did you get in your number 3?
Nice. So a confession here that is not a surprise whatsoever. I had to stretch to keep the story going.
It's part of the deal. You'll get used to it.
Please. I've been here long enough. I've been around the block a couple of times. I've even been around the block unaccompanied by an adult.
Holy shit. After dark?
Yeah, I know, right?
Whoa, dude.
Okay, so.
Were you expecting more of a reaction to that? Because I had nothing.
No. I was emphasizing the fact that I had no reaction to that. I need you to visualize here, okay? With me here. You got a clock, all right? That's all it is. I just need a clock. It's the doomsday clock. It's a thing. It's actually a symbol. It's a symbol created by the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists. And once a year they look at it and they set it in an approximate they bump the time forward and back to midnight, representing the likelihood of a human-made global catastrophe, which is alluded to in the title of my number 3 song, 2 Minutes to Midnight by Iron Maiden. And look, we needed something hard here. Not going to find much better than Maiden to go with it. It's very apocalyptic in its descriptions of things. And the song just ticks us down to the end, much like the doomsday clock is set up to represent how close we are to the end. Now, for your peace of mind, the last time that the clock was set to 2 minutes to midnight was only 2018. Come on,
Yeesh.
we're currently only 90 seconds to midnight.
Yeah.
The closest since ever. We're closer to the end now than when we were testing thermonuclear bombs in the fucking atmosphere.
Yep.
I mean, I think maybe you're looking at this all wrong, though, because if you have a powerful enough microwave, then we're essentially a Hot Pocket for midnight. And you can't beat Hot Pockets.
No. If it's 90 seconds, we're a cold, disappointing lump of dough away from the apocalypse. 90 seconds is not enough time for that to go full lava on us.
I think the problem here is that we're the Hot Pockets.
Oh, shit.
Oh, this just got even deeper. Man.
Every time I go to the frozen food section from now on, I'm just going to get sad.
Man, now that it means that the garlicky, flaky crust has a whole nother level. Actually, it has a whole nother level to add to the depression that buying a box of Hot Pockets already brings.
My skin is crawling after you said that.
Crawling or flaking, as if
You're not helping.
Depends on are we pre-bomb or post-bomb?
do I need a loofah or can it just slough off naturally?
Like the first couple layers, they're already gone. You don't got to worry about them.
It's fair. Okay.
You might want the loofah just in case something kind of like, some dirt or some fallout or some shit gets in there.
Sure.
Just kind of want to get that out there.
I mean, bacteria is a bad thing at that point.
Bacteria is always a bad
enemy.
thing. Yeah. And you're going to look like a literal cooked lobster anyway. So, it's probably not a bad idea.
I was picturing a roasted pepper.
Yeah, actually, that. I want to point out that in my script, I was supposed to scream the last bit of it like Lewis Black, and Hot Pockets was not where I was expecting to go here. But I am so glad that we did.
See, as I sit here like morbidly disgusted about what's going on, it's like that moment when you reflect and you're like, wait a minute, I did this. This was my fault.
I'm like I should start texting my therapist right now. But then I have to explain that the reason I'm here is because I put myself in the hole.
And how do you even explain?
How do I explain that I put myself in the hole?
So my guy was talking about Iron Maiden, right?
I was talking about Iron Maiden. And I was gonna yell about how the world is about to blow up. And then a Hot Pocket showed up, a giant Hot Pocket, and then like this roasted pepper walked in, and now I'm in the hole, and I'm really afraid you're Buffalo Bill.
I'm never eating again. Feel safer that way.
Needless to say, I'm going to lock the freezer tonight and ask whoever's turn it is to just please take it.
Yeah, good luck, Jay.
Yeah, about that. All right, so bringing it back. We can do this. All right, so we've learned that at this point in the story, we're learned that John was right and Maynard's prayers have been answered, and then some. So now we learn from Dax that it's nothing to be too worried about. Nothing to get too worked up about. If he's to be trusted, we've been through all this before. The frogmen and the beasts will do their thing and the world will end again. So last week. My number 3 song is End's Mouth by Agents of Oblivion. He croons in the chorus, "It's only the end of the world again." This happens regularly. This feels like a letdown after the last conversation, by the way.
Well, no, you still have the chance to take it to the multiverse, so go ahead.
There you go.
No, it's a really beautiful song in his Bayou blues lilt that, came from being in a Bayou metal band for the 10 years prior to it. It's a beautiful tune about the frogmen surfacing, and it's only the end of the world again. It's nothing to get too worked up about.
We've been here before, you know.
We've been here before.
You know, it's going to happen. Nothing we can do about it. Just accept it and get ready for the next one.
Exactly.
Like Neo talking to the architect. We've been here before, man. Agent Smith's trying to fuck everything up. Pull him back. You can fix this.
Is that why his key ring was so big?
So many keys, bro.
Yeah. Nope. No idea where I was going there. So
yeah. I tried to pull it back.
You know what I need? What might be on that key ring though? The key to Zach's number 3.
My man.
That was so bad. I loved every second of that. So
I'll take 2.
So we're going to get to, we've already been devastated in this episode for several different reasons. And I think we're going to get right back to that, at least in terms of how this song is interpreted by the artist or the band who performed it. Because at number 3 is a song so sad, so devastating, so suffocating that the lead singer of said band once said about performing the song live that, quote, "It hurts like hell every time I play it, looking out at thousands of people cheering and smiling, oblivious to the tragedy of its meaning." Very similar, Jay, to what you were talking about with Bad Moon Rising. I don't think that this song was quite as popular full stop, but certainly amongst fans of the band, you know, very much a popular song, and one that once you sit down and listen to the lyrics, maybe wouldn't be as popular because, yeah, it's every bit as devastatingly sad and hopeless is a good word for it, as portrayed by one Tom York of Radiohead. Thankfully, the song comes at the very end of the album, The Bends, because I don't think I'd be able to stick around for the gems like Fake Plastic Trees and Just if Radiohead's Street Spirit Fade Out came earlier in the track listing. It is a song where literally every single lyric, besides the final lyrics, will just put you in the basement and even lower in terms of the fact that everything is terrible. It's very much the life sucks and then you die anthem, but death is maybe the release of everything going on, at least according to the song, until you get to the very end. And it always was very fascinating to me that this song that was so just despair on despair on despair ends with the lines, immerse yourself in love, showing that even in the darkest of times, even in the darkest of songs, there is still a silver lining to be seen.
Yeah. I know it's unpopular. That is my favorite Radiohead album.
It's so good, dude.
Start to finish, that album is my favorite Radiohead record. And that is an absolutely beautiful song.
And it's I mean, as much as I joke about it, it is like the perfect closing track to an album, I feel like.
I'm not going to lie. I could have sworn that Exit Music was going to make your list just because it's right there.
That would have been a great song for this list too. It really would have.
Which is also why I didn't put it on mine, because I figured A, either you would have it, or B, it would be too, like, that's too on the nose even for this.
It's the one from OK Computer, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then I should have realized that there's nothing too on the nose for us. Especially when it comes to our top 5s.
For sure. Yeah. Honestly, the Exit Music for a Film did not cross my thoughts as I was thinking about this list. I'm kind of kicking myself because it, at the very least, would have been an honorable mention.
Sure. An honorable mention. Absolutely. I like your pick better.
Yeah, actually. It
didn't cross. Neither one of them truly crossed my mind, but I appreciate your pick.
The only contradiction I would make is that my favorite Radiohead record is Kid A. That's it.
See, and I preferred the follow-up to Kid A, which was Amnesiac.
I think we're going to have to jot that down as a future.
Yeah, just see if they're on our list. We should probably do that. If not.
Indeed.
Anyway.
Indeed. Yeah, while we pencil in new episodes for the future, in the present, Dan, we've got to talk about your number 2, right? Yes, your number 2.
Good counting. Yes. So I would see I let other people count because it's better that way. I would also just like to let everyone know that I am in fact Good now. I've been electrocalmed. I should be good to finish this up.
Thank goodness.
Okay. Now, back to the theme of dying in an atomic fireball. The most we gotta get back to the plot here. The most unassuming track about the apocalyptic end of the world. At number 2 is a song that's gotten a lot of interpretations put on it since its release all the way back in 1982, when the shit was really on, or more on than we knew. It's almost, yeah. I guess it was never off, really.
Yeah.
It's almost universally now read as a sweet-ish, simple love song that okay, it's got a darker edge, but its darker edge has a darker edge. From English New Wavers, modern English, it's I Melt With You. Lead singer Robbie Gray has played coy with it in more recent years since the song's release, but apparently he said it once. There's a pretty clear line of logic that can be followed here. This is a basic boy meets girl, boy and girl fall for each other. The nuclear apocalypse kicks off, and they make love as the world evaporates around them. Love song. They are literally melting with each other. Now, Gray may have played coy with it since then, because like people say that they've taken much deeper meaning with it, and it's been a connection. It's sort of their relationship song, and he's trying not to piss all over that, which I can appreciate. Like, you know what, and he could just take the attitude. You know what, if they think it's only a love song, and it's all it's about. Better that way than the actual like dark place I was in my head when I wrote it. That's fine.
The one part of the song that I love the most is and I think there are actually a couple of bridges with the lyric, the future's open wide. Like, no, it's fucking not. The future is very much closed in this song.
To be fair, it kind of is, because you don't have to you have to worry about nothing else for the next 10 to 12 minutes. No other worries need to hit your brain. There is no stress.
I didn't think about it like that. The very abbreviated future is open wide.
With the time we have left, all that matters is you, the royal you. So maybe it is sweeter than I would lead on, but still dark.
It's a very sweet song, even though now every time I listen to it, I'm going to smell roasting pork. Mm-hmm.
For fuck's sake.
That's so wrong. Mostly because we've been told by those who apparently experienced it that human flesh tastes of chicken, so it would smell like roasted chicken.
I don't know.
Humans,
Taste of humans.
I don't have to worry about this. I'm the only vegetarian in this room right now, so
it's apocalyptic, human or death.
Death, please.
You said death. I
want the other one.
Well, we're out of human.
Before we get too far, because we can recite the whole thing.
Oh yeah, just instead of doing that, you should just do your number 2.
Yeah, I'll do a number 2. Okay, so a few people are super happy that the world is ending. Right, we've got all this going on, and the world is ending, and no one is happier, no one more so than our old pal Maynard. His tone is completely shifted to one of joyful celebration, shouting "Bravissimo! Hip hip hooray!" and setting off fireworks at the end of a ticker tape parade as we watch the dolphins move on. And as they go, they utter the immortal words, "So long, and thanks for all the fish." Or, as Perfect Circle says it, that's the name of the song. It's honestly the happiest, most upbeat song that Maynard has ever produced.
I'm trying to think of a rebuttal to that, but no, I can't think of a single one.
He talks about shouting "Bravissimo, hip hip hooray" under mushroom cloud confetti, and it's literally the most upbeat, happy song he's ever produced.
See, I love you. I love songs like that. And anytime that you can also tie in a reference to the Hitchhiker's Guide, all the better.
Yep.
Yeah, just the imagery, the pure imagery in this song is just fantastic. Not to be surprised at all. I mean, it's Maynard is responsible. Of course it's going to be fantastic, but
it was actually the first song I thought of for this list because I wanted I thought of So Long and Thanks for All the Fish. And I was like, that's going on the list. I'll work the rest of it around that.
Yeah, that's one of those that's just tailor-made for this list, I feel like. Great choice.
What did you choose to go at your number 2 spot?
So with my number 2 spot, we continue the kind of back and forth oscillation between a sad song and a party song, a sad song and a party song, with the apocalyptic metronome landing on party song specifically for my number 2. It is the number 2 song, but it is also the opportunity to discuss rule number 1 of this here podcast for the new listeners. That rule is simply Prince. We, as I'm sure many of you are huge fans of his purpleness and would try to shove him into any of our lists if we really needed to shoehorn him in. Luckily, we don't, because he just fits in so perfectly in so many different motifs, and it's just all really fucking good. So it's not a stretch at all. You will certainly hear much more of Prince in future episodes of all types. But for now, enjoy the apocalypse anthem that is 1999. I say for now, enjoy, because I'm still programmed to have you listen to the song that we used to play right after we would say that. That doesn't happen anymore. So pull up the ride along playlist to this episode and listen to 1999 and then come back for more. Or wait until the end and listen to all of them. That's probably the better idea, because who wants to go back and forth? Anyway, I've already said too much. Prince, great artist. The song, you've heard it a million times. Perhaps one that was not seen as an apocalypse song. I'd be curious. I'm sure, I know you guys were familiar with it for sure, but I would be curious to hear if listeners, did you just see this as a party song because, 1999 was approaching sometime in the near future? And by near future, I mean like 17 years after the song was made. Or did you see it as what it was? Like, the year 2000 is going to strike and we're done. So, get it in while you can. I was certainly in the latter camp for a large swath of my adult life, and, have certainly since seen the error of that thought process. But yeah, again, just like with We Found Love, it's dancey, it's fun, it bellies a much darker message bubbling under the surface, but still it's the, the mantra of, hey, it's ending anyway, so let's go out with a bang.
I'm currently laying odds in my head about whether or not Dan has put that at his number 1 spot, but I left it off my list for that exact reason. But I also thought, what would happen if all of us had left it off of our list? Well, then we would just cap the episode with it, right? Like, it's the one that we talk about at the very end. Right, that's the ultimate one. That's just where it goes. So I'm glad you put it in here, because it was going in anyway.
Yeah, there's no right. There's just no way. There's no way it wasn't going to get there. It turns out apparently Prince knew about Y2K 17 years before the rest of us did, and gave us the jam to be like, hey, watch out for this shit.
Meanwhile, like, every computer programmer was like, fuck, that dude, he had the answer the whole time. Right? Why didn't we listen? What a crazy time. I say, as we sit here in 2024 talking about another time as crazy.
Right. Well, we have been on the worst timeline for quite a while, longer than we probably want to admit.
Going on about 4 years now.
Longer than we probably want to admit.
Going about 8 years now.
Yeah, I mean, we're Stephen Strange when you need him. He can fix this for us.
Right.
Or is this all his fault?
Oh,
I'll be honest with you. At this point, I'll even take Steven Universe. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm not picky, really.
Top 5 Stevens episode.
I will be deleting that from the spreadsheet. Thank you.
What did you almost delete from your list? No, that's not right.
Nope.
No, but
your honorable mentions is
I got you. It's okay. Because it's required. Europe in the Final Countdown.
Yeah.
Only not on the list because the English version actually just ends up being a close call. They pull us back from the brink. Nena and 99 Red Balloons or Luftballons. Yeah. I got another love song about being at the end of the line with your beloved, just not necessarily in the apocalypse, but just kind of at the end of the line. It's Leonard Cohen and Dance Me to the End of Love. I needed more songs about the extinction of the human race. So I grabbed Zager and Evans in the year 2525. The problem is their song, it took 10,000 years for us to go. I needed immediacy for this list.
Right.
It's a stretch for this, but Adele and Skyfall as the best modern Bond theme, and I'm sure there's some espionage parallels that could be a more talented writer could draw with this song. But, you know. And then The Crazy World of Arthur Brown and Fire, because, I mean, should I or just wait for you?
Go ahead.
I am the god of hellfire, and I bring you fire.
Once again, no notes. Super.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna not the.
You know, to be fair, we did not go off the rails once in the April reviews episode, so we were due.
We've done it many times today.
Let me take two. How about your honorable mentions, Jay?
Oh my God! All right, so there was a version of my list where Arthur Brown made the cut, but it didn't quite suit the narrative, so I left it off. However, I made a 10 list because I like top 10s. They're fun. And following my top 5, I wound up with Psalm 69 by Ministry.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks. Then I went with the Four Horsemen by Metallica off of Kill 'Em All, just for the fact that it's been pretty much banned from all airwaves, and it's absolutely a celebration party song about it's Christmas at Ground Zero by Weird Al. And then Na Na Hey Hey Kiss Him Goodbye by Steam. There was a version of my narrative that I wanted that to work in. And I couldn't quite make it happen. I really wanted it to, but I couldn't get it to happen. And then finally, because I thought it was very funny, Closing Time by Semisonic.
Knowing that song is about like the furthest thing away from an apocalypse just tickles me when I hear
even
you say
better.
it.
I love it.
Yeah, like it's a very like old person cover band thing to do at the end of a night, just to play. And I say this knowing that my mother ends every one of her sets with it.
Beauty.
Right. But that's very much what it's for, and thus putting it in here I thought was good. Was funny. It amused me.
So kind of similar to vibe to like the band playing off the sinking of the Titanic, only the Titanic is like the world.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm with
exactly.
I'm with it. I see the vision.
Yeah. I thought it was fun. But none of those suited my narrative, so I left them off the list.
Nice. Still a good grouping too. Even the honorable mentions are hidden.
How about you, Zach? What almost hit for you?
Similar to you, Jay, the Four Horsemen by Metallica. Did not realize before making this list that was originally written by Dave Mustaine as the most overtly crass sex song ever. And Metallica was like, let's just make this into a song about the apocalypse instead. So they did. Like you do.
Yep.
The 80s were weird, man. What can I say? Also, The End by Green Wheel. More of a discussion of leading up to the very dystopian end of the world than the actual end of the world, but still a very good song when it comes to said topic. Also, I have Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Aerosmith. It wasn't a movie called Armageddon. That is enough for me. As you mentioned, Dan, we stretch it out a little bit sometimes, you know?
Look, all I want to say is that Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms.
Phantom's like a motherfucker. Do the air high five.
Snoogans.
But yeah, a very short list. I know I've had like 10 honorable mentions.
Yeah,
before,
I was waiting for more.
I
ready for you to keep right on going.
I thought I had more, but no, just the 3.
Okay.
Keeping it short and sweet this time for once.
All right.
Okay.
Dan, as we get to your number 1, we did have a prediction from Jay of what song it is going to be. And I am honestly curious if he was on the nose or if you went with a different direction. So lay it on us.
Did y'all did we get a line on that?
No, I couldn't decide on a line in my head.
Okay.
I would lay it at this point. Originally I was thinking 50-50, but now that we're in it, I'm saying probably 2-1 against.
2-1 against. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that? And are you taking the long bet?
Man, I'm absolutely taking the long bet on that one.
Yeah, okay. 2-1 against feels like a very good line.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a push, honestly.
Wait. I can't. You. Well, it's been a really good night of train derailment up in the old noggin here. So when I give you my number 1, I can keep it short and sweet. There's a simple reason it's number 1, because in all honesty, more of us than we'd like to admit, maybe, or maybe the majority of us like to admit, that we would probably party our way to the end. And at that point, I'd probably say the same thing. Like, yeah, like if we know we're going down, like have a good time, even if it's only for a few minutes. Just do what you got to do. We're going anyway. Like at that party, I know no one's taking me upstairs, so instead I will just be down in the living room, dancing to Prince with a bottle of hooch in my hand as the fireball overtakes the land. It's 1999. Fiend. Yes, tickets, they pay out tonight. Yes, tickets pay out.
I took the long odds.
Ding, 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 ding.
Because it's rule number 1. Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's why I didn't put it on mine, because I felt like it was taken.
Well, and again, it's that internal struggle. Do I put it on there assuming someone else is going to, or do I take the risk that we all assume that way? And honestly, when we started making this list, it was the first song that came to mind. It wasn't even a contest.
Fair enough.
I mean, one of the greatest songs from one of the greatest catalogs.
Damn straight.
Yeah, you had us going. I was not sure which direction you ended up going. So, but I would say you made the good choice.
I mean, obviously, you had let it in with your number 2, so now I'm intrigued to hear what your number 1. But before that, Jay's got to get his number 1.
Yeah, well, there's only one thing worse than the end of the world, and that is having to spend it alone. And that's the case for Chris. He's always been the optimist, knowing that there was someone out there for him. He's only 24. And the world is ending around him. He makes one final desperate plea, presumably over like a ham radio or a TikTok or some other device that's unaffected by world-ending mushroom clouds and frogmen. We don't even have to think about tomorrow, he cries. We can just share this moment, like at the end of Fight Club. My number 1 song for the end of the world is Chris Cornell's Preaching the End of the World. I honestly think this is probably one of the most beautiful songs for the end of the world, right? Like things are ending and seeking a friend for the end of the world. Like let's just do this together. Beautiful sentiment from one of the most amazing voices that's ever been in rock music.
Yeah, we talk about rule 1 being Prince, but Chris Cornell is probably fairly up there as well for this podcast. What an absolutely beautiful song.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Seeking a Friend for the End of the World. Actually, a really good movie, too.
I was trying to remember. Yeah, I was trying to remember. I thought I was searching. Thank you. I was trying to make that point. Like, there's a movie with that exact title. Mm-hmm. My brain just like completely wiped it out. And of course, that's where the inspiration for the title came from. Is that song?
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's a wonderful song from 1999's Euphoria Morning.
Great fucking album too. Just
start to finish. There's not a bad track on that album.
No, not at all.
How can I follow up Chris Cornell, man?
I'm afraid here.
I tried following up Prince, so you can do it.
True. That's true. That's true. I guess I got the easier job, all things considered, but not by much. I know, Dan, you mentioned that 1999 was the first track that you had thought of. Jay, you thought similarly as well. Apologies, I can't remember which track it was. I think it was your number 2 track. You said it was the first track that came to your mind for this list.
Yeah, it was.
And this was the first track that came to mind for me. And a lot of times when this happens for me, like that track kind of slots in at number 1 because it's the only track. It's just number 1 by default. But, you kind of try to grade on a curve, right? It's like, this can't be the best song, right? So let's try to knock it down. Let's try to find a worse, or a better representation of it. So, we can treat everything fairly. And to be truthful, part of this list for me, as it was for both of you, was sort of a theme with the back and forth between the happy and the sad, and ending with the sad seemed like the natural way to go because, end of the world and such. So if all things being equal, I'd probably go the same direction as Dan does with 1999. But for the sake of the theme and for the sake of the list, my number 1 song is Grapevine Fires by Death Cab for Cutie. It strikes the perfect balance between somber and uplifting, with a very fun interpretation of the Purdy shuffle drum pattern to boot. We'll talk about that more in a much later episode of the Fairly KickAss podcast where we cover the great Bernard Purdy. But I am getting ahead of myself because we still have to finish this episode. I really couldn't think, at least when we first started talking, of any song that not only kind of encapsulated the sort of feeling in both directions of dread, of sorrow, of acceptance, and of hope in a time that is very, very desperate, as Ben Gibbard did here in Grapevine Fires. I could also not think of, at least for me personally, as that moment hits, again, whether it's the hurricanado, the earthquake, or the crypto bro, whichever direction humanity goes, I could not think of a better song in that exact moment than this for me to feel a certain kind of comfort, a certain kind of peace, and again, a certain kind of acceptance of what is happening. And Ben says it as best as he could himself in the song, where he said, there, I knew it would be all right, that everything would be all right.
Catharsis.
Essentially. Essentially. I mean, it's the best we're going to get in an apocalyptic scenario. So
yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's better than the alternatives.
I mean, in that scenario, are there alternatives?
Probably not. Probably not.
I mean, you could die tired.
Duh, don't run.
Lessons to be learned, listeners. Lessons to be learned. But yeah, a great, awesome list, guys, as always. I really enjoyed, for once, being able to witness the themes unfurling and not being the one trying to shoehorn them in. For the record, you both did much better with the theming sort of motif than I have in previous incarnations of that certain kind of podcast.
Well, I felt like I had to, honestly, because the last couple of times I was the one that did not do a theme, try to lump it together in one thing. I was the one that missed out on that. So this time I really wanted to do it.
It's just fun, it's a reminder that this isn't necessarily the best 5 whatevers. This is just our interpretation of what it means. And, sometimes that means we're not going to have the absolute best songs that we could think of on that list because some songs are going to fit better.
And to me, all it is a chance to say, see, Mom, I am using that creative writing class I took as a junior. Told you I would.
I do legitimately love every song I put on the list, though. So in that regard, I did not. What's the word I'm looking for here? Nope, I'm not a writer. I didn't make the flawed exchange for a song just for the sake of the narrative.
That's when you know that you're hitting on all cylinders, because I have certainly forsaken the quality of songs many times in the past, as Dan and Jay can attest to. But yeah, spot on, both of you, well done. And listeners, as always, as with any of these episodes, we'd love to hear what you think, and especially with these kinds of episodes where we are listing things or ranking things, we love to hear how you feel about our lists, first and foremost, and also how you feel about your own list. Were there songs that you would have put on yours that we missed on ours? Were there songs that you thought we just blatantly got wrong or very obvious omissions? Let us know what you think, good, bad, or indifferent. We love any and all feedback that you can provide for us. We have our Twitter account, @FairlyKickAss on Twitter, @FairlyKickAss on Instagram, @FairlyKickAss on TikTok. FairlyKickAss.com, our website, is going through a bit of a transformation, so bear with us. We have the under construction site. Just imagine it. We don't actually have one because it's a website. You can't do that with websites. They're not real things. You can't hang signs on them. But if you could pretend that there's one there, we are going to be, improving it, making it a little more readable, and also posting future episodes. So you can go to the website and listen directly to the podcast from there, which, by the way, you can also do from any of your podcast platforms of choice. We are now live on every major podcast provider that you can think of, I think almost certainly. If there's one we missed, let us know. We want to make sure that we are as widely available for all of you as we possibly can be. And then if you prefer old school email, fairlykickass@gmail.com will get you over to us as well. With that said, Jay, I think you had something.
I was going to ask, how would they tell us if we missed their platform if they can't get us on their platform? How would they know? This is a meta problem.
Yeah, you hear that, Zuckerberg? Come fix our shit.
Damn it beat me to it.
Well, if you have a friend that told you about this podcast and you can't find it there.
There you go.
Oh, gosh.
That's a good friend. That's a good friend.
That's a friend you want for the end of the world, in fact.
Right.
Speaking of as we go away from the parting of all existence, do either of you have any parting words for our listeners before we shuffle off of this podcast coil?
No, but that was a stellar way to phrase that.
I've been working on it. I've been practicing.
I'm surprised none of us put this Mortal Coil's It'll End in Tears on a list of some kind.
It's something for the next iteration of this when we do top 5 songs for when the world ends again. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for these episodes every Wednesday of the Fairly Kick-Ass Pod. That sounded like a really professional ending, and I didn't like it. So I'm hoping
I'm glad you cut yourself off right in the middle of the professional ending.
Yeah. Producer Nikki will cut this off somewhere where it sounds as awkward as human.